After a long day, a little while ago, I was reading the classic book Amusing Ourselves to Death by Neil Postman. And after working in all kinds of video production over the years, I came across a section that has lingered with me. Postman says, "It is simply not possible to convey a sense of seriousness about any event if its implications are exhausted in less than 1 minute's time. In fact, it is quite obvious that TV news has no intention of suggesting that any story has any implications, for that would require viewers to continue to think about it when it is done, and therefore obstruct their attending to the next story that waits panting in the wings." Now, this book was published in 1985, and the medium he's musing on here is cable television. But the dated nature of his worries gives them even more power when you consider what has happened in the 40 years since. His main point in the book is that the medium of television and its business incentives were essentially dumbing down American political discourse, preventing us from being able to think about one thing for a long enough period of time to come to an informed and nuanced opinion. 40 years later, the question of what television would do to American political discourse has been answered in a rather heavy-handed way, seeing as we elected a literal reality TV star as President of the United States. We all know that's been talked about endlessly, but what I worry about is, what's coming next? If cable television fractured America's critical thinking skills, how does having the internet with you at all times further affect that ability to focus? Postman framed the media as a single stage. But now, every single person in the audience is its own stage, each one screaming for the spotlight. There is already evidence that the current age is having a troubling impact on our brains, especially when it comes to kids. John Byrne Murdoch's rather terrifying article in the Financial Times lays this out. He sums up how the big international tests that measure how well 15-year-olds do in reading, math, and science keep getting worse, and not just because of COVID. The numbers actually peaked around 2012, and in many cases, the drop between 2012 and 2018 was steeper than during the pandemic itself. And it's not just kids. Adults are showing the same slide in reasoning and problem solving across every age group. In other words, we may be living through a quiet but broad decline in core cognitive skills. And more, video content, my career, is the fuel of this distraction culture. It's easy to trick yourself into thinking you're doing something more noble, or at least effective, than you really are. That the video content you're pumping into people's brains is art, or education, or journalism. But really, it's just noise. It can be slickly produced or a single video clip shot on an iPhone. I'm a noisemaker as a living, when more noise is the last thing our world needs. It's worth the struggle to try and navigate this. But man, it's hard not to think that we're just posters, contributing to a cacophony that's making us stupider and more miserable by the day.